Candlekeep is the Forgotten Realms setting's biggest library. It's a library fortress, actually, on the coast where thousands of books are stored. And some of these books are quite mysterious. And the characters are either looking for a book in Candlekeep or they stumble upon one. Either way, the book points them toward a mystery that needs to be solved. And it's pursuing that mystery that leads the characters on their adventure. Every adventure is written by a different author who brings their unique voice to the product. And to find these authors, I went out into our D&D community. I reached out to them and asked them if they'd be interested in contributing to this anthology. And so if you are engaged with the D&D community, a lot of the people who worked on these adventures will be familiar names to you. And I'm very excited to be able to have them contribute to your campaigns.
Hi, I'm Lynne D'Angelo. I'm a television, musical, and now D&D adventure writer. And I love Dungeons & Dragons. I have been playing it since high school, in corners and nooks of my life, mostly after musical theater rehearsals. But now I am both a player and a DM for Girl Scouts Glory. I am also a player on Sirens of the Realm. I also run a campaign called ND&D, which is an all-native game. I just have fun playing. So in these Candlekeep Mysteries, my adventure is one called Lore of LaRue. When I first started playing with Girl Scouts Glory, I told a story about a unicorn. I was really excited to play at a table with all women, and I thought to myself, well, what's kind of magical and hasn't really been explored that feels a little whimsy-like? And of course, right away, high forest. You know, I come from the forest and my people come from the forest lands. I'm Haudenosaunee. Being a native storyteller, sitting around the table, having a tradition in my people of oral storytelling, you know, Dungeons and Dragons is that. One day I opened up my inbox and I received an email from Christopher Perkins asking me to write on the up and coming D&D adventure, the unnamed adventure that it was. Of course, I abruptly, metaphorically fainted and then replied with a resounding yes. So I pitched a really weird concept to him where I was like, well, what if it's like a historical retelling, almost like live, you know, like LARPing in history within the Forgotten Realms in this book, and have it be the story of the unicorn queen, LaRue. And he said, yeah. The little girl inside of me who played Dungeons and Dragons, just screamed and exploded, and then glitter went everywhere. The artwork was just taking and plucking something from my brain and putting it on the paper. It is so colorful and so active. It takes you there. You take one glance at it and you can feel the wetness in the air. You can smell the mushrooms. You can sense the pixie dust on your nose. I don't want to give away too much of the magic. I'll just say there's a lot of it. Dungeons and Dragons called to me from a young age. Like many people, I wanted to hold on to storytelling as much as possible. And Dungeons and Dragons for me in my teen years was that and continues to be that space. So to be able to take everything that is that sort of energy and history and magic and be able to put it on the page and to be that person to start it, there's no amount of words to describe it. It is vibrational and it affects more than I'll ever be able to see. Really what it does is it actualizes us and it gives us a place to sit at the table with you all now.
Hi everybody, I'm Mark Hulmes, the Dungeon Master for High Rollers D&D, which is a live D&D stream YouTube podcast show, as well as Knights of Evening Star over on the Wizards D&D channel. You might also know me as Kaliana from Critical Role, some of my guest appearances on Dice Camera Action, or across the D&D live streaming events that we've been doing for the last few years. My adventure in Candlekeep Mysteries is called The Price of Beauty. I don't want to give too much away about it because there is quite a bit of a mystery connected to it, but it begins with the party being asked to locate a missing acolyte within Candlekeep. That discovery leads them to The Price of Beauty, the book, and there's a puzzle involved around that. Once that puzzle is solved, however, your party will get to visit a magical day spa called the Temple of the Restful Lily, where your adventurers can be pampered and have treatments and maybe even improve some pretty major magical things about themselves. There's a lot of silliness that you can get up to within the temple and in the day spa, but there is a bit of a darker mystery behind it all as well. There's some darker undertones that your party might just uncover if you stick around the day spa as well. I had an email from Bill Benham and Chris Perkins, and at first I wasn't 100% sure if they'd sent it to the right person, because, well, I remember saying back, I said to both of them, "Are you sure you want me working on this project if you sent this to the wrong person?" And both Bill and Chris were so wonderfully encouraging and said, "No, we really want your voice on this. We think that you've got something unique to add. We want to see your adventure, and we can help you with all the editing. We can help you with all the stuff that you're inexperienced with, but we want your voice on this." And that's just kind of an amazing thing, right? For 14-year-old Mark to suddenly know that he was going to write a D&D adventure, an official Dungeons and Dragons adventure that was going to be published in a book and have his name in the credits along with people like Chris Perkins and some of these amazing mutuals that I've gotten to know is just incredible. It's something that I could never have dreamed of ever happening. And then I remember specifically receiving the artwork for the first time, seeing the adventure in print with all the artwork formally laid out with all the maps. And it was like the artist had reached into my brain and plucked those NPCs out. Like, they were exactly how I imagined them. That was the thing that floored me. That was the thing that I realized. I was like, this is real. This is your adventure, and it's going to be printed in Candlekeep Mysteries. It's incredibly validating. It makes me feel like I've actually achieved something, that I've created something that is worthy of being recognized. And that in turn, means a lot to me personally. And it was especially nice that the adventure I wrote, which is very unmasculine, which is very sort of personal and perhaps a bit softer than your typical D&D adventure, is also included. That's very, very important to me as somebody who definitely crosses the broad spectrum that is lifestyles and gender. It's meant a lot that something like that could be included in this.
I'm Taymoor. I also go by Taymoor. I'm a game designer on D&D at Wizards of the Coast, and I wrote one of the adventures for Candlekeep Mysteries. In my adventure, Zikrin's Zephyrian Tome, you find a genie trapped in a book. I wanted to write an adventure that was inspired by the elemental powers of D&D and Muslim mythology, and so I combined the two where they meet in D&D, which is the legends of the genies and the wishes that they grant. The adventure is chock full of cool things, cool moments. There's a dragon, there's ghosts, there's giants, there's an evil wizard's lair. I wanted everything that the players did to just feel like a blast. I was an intern when I got a chance to talk to Chris, and he told me about this book that was coming up that was going to be full of a bunch of short adventures that were all mysteries for players to solve, set in Candlekeep. You know, intern, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, I was excited, and he gave me the chance to pitch him on a potential adventure to go in the book. And it needed that mystery element. And I wanted to make sure that my first adventure was grand. I got to see this book go from an idea that Chris talked about right to print. I got to do one of the development passes at the end of the book. Make sure all the monsters were shipshape, and having written one of the adventures, and then getting to go through everyone's adventures at the end to sort of put the final touches on the monsters and work directly with Chris on that. It was a great bookend to start and end the project.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amy Vorpahl. I am an actor, a writer, a professional dungeon master, if you can believe it. That is actually a job. And in the D&D community, I'm really active online. I play a lot of D&D streams as a character, but also as a dungeon master. And I love D&D, y'all. So I contributed to Candlekeep Mysteries one adventure called Candlekeep Deconstruction, in which, guess what, I deconstruct the Candlekeep library, so it becomes something other than what you might think a library is. And that was what I pitched to Chris Perkins. It was, what if the entire Candlekeep library is actually a rocket ship that can go to space? If there's going to be an Amy Vorpahl story, I want it to be a little bit like, aha, gotcha. And I've played enough with people where sometimes the rules aren't the most fun thing. And if I'm going to get a group of adults together, all of whom have children, jobs, other places to be, as a player and as a dungeon master, I just want it to be like, I want to max out our time together. And sometimes maxing out your time together is to like throw the rule book out the window. This whole experience of writing an adventure for Dungeons and Dragons is, I don't want to exaggerate, but a dream come true. I mean that in the biggest possible, most important way you can imagine it. If I were to tell my teenage self, hey, you're going to be writing for official Dungeons and Dragons in a hardback book, I either would have, one, not believed it, or two, peed my pants, or both. I don't know. But there's no other way to say it than I feel like freaking nerd royalty. The fact that now other people might be able to play my adventure, it's humbling. And it's, I don't know. I don't know if there are any words. Can I come up with one word right now? Freaking cool.
I just want to say to everybody who worked on Candlekeep Mysteries, thank you very much for your contributions. We have an amazing project here. I want to thank Kate Irwin, the art director, Trish Yoakum and Tristan Falcone, the graphic designers, all of our artists, including our cover artists, Clint Kearley, Simon Meyer, all of our writers, all of our editors, our cartographers, everyone who contributed. Thank you. It's a wondrous accomplishment. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other.